All right, friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. I think YouTube is grabbing the stream here, and we are going live with my friend, Dave Weiss. He's known as Flat Earth Dave, and he goes by that name. Here we are, Dave. He goes by that name. He's going to tell us why he goes by that name. And I'm calling this What in the Non-Spinning World, because it's kind of a phrase that I've coined in my videos when I'm talking about crazy things that are going on. And I literally mean what in the non-spinning world, meaning our Earth is non-spinning. And it's something that I've always just taken for granted. I mean, I don't see it spinning. I've never felt it spinning. I'm glad that it doesn't, because I kind of get motion sick. I don't like to go on, Ferris wheels and roller coasters and all that. So flat Earth is not something that I woke up to. In fact, I speak much less about the shape of the Earth than I do about the non-spinning nature. I think it's all connected, and I have often been troubled by this narrative that is pushed. And I know, Dave, you're on with me here, but I want to just give you a moment as the stream is, you're grabbing the stream and sharing the link and everything. You know, one of the biggest things that has troubled me in the narrative about so many lies that we've been fed over the years is that somehow we are just a random collection of cells. We're almost like an afterthought in the universe. And how many books, movies, videos, songs, novels, people have said, I look at the stars and I feel so insignificant. The universe is so much larger than me. No, it's not. God created you at the center of his universe. And that's what is always what has troubled me about the concept that we are spinning in space around the sun, when we have expressions like sunrise and sunset. And even the Bible says there was a day when the sun stood still, meaning the sun was moving, not the earth. If anybody can show me in the Bible where it says the earth is spinning, I'd love to see it. It's the exact opposite. We're a footstool. The earth has been established. It shall not move. We're like a clay under a seal, and so much more. Anyway, a little bit of an introduction to let Dave catch his breath and get on board. Dave,
I'm good.
welcome.
Thanks.
Great to see you.
Peggy, thanks for having me. We had a great conversation when I interviewed you a while ago, and my wife Paige came up and expressed her love for you, but I've locked her downstairs and locked her out of my office today, and so she'll be in the chat. And I just want to tell you that I love you. You are the inspiration. You saved me in 2020 when that weird thing happened, and you did your video. I believe you were in the airport at Southwest, and you shamed them. You shamed them hard, and that was I think I've watched probably almost every video you've made since then. So
I appreciate it.
And it's great to speak to somebody awake and aware and willing to look at these things. And for those of you that are healthy Americans that think that this is a crazy topic, why are we talking about this? Look what's going on with Bobby Kennedy. Look what's going on with everything. What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. Hang in there, because it's bigger than the shape. The shape is nothing. Flat isn't even a shape. Flat is a description of level and horizontal, right?
Exactly. It's like I am in Florida, which is pretty flat, but I live in California. It's my home state, and there's mountains everywhere. So, but I do realize that that's one of the kind of gotchas that they use. So that's fine. We'll call it flat Earth. I have no problem with that. But go on, Dave.
I was gonna do a little intro where I'm gonna say, hold on, I'm gonna grab my selfie stick and do a little montage, bring you around the space station. And so let me grab my selfie stick, and here we go. Whoops, where'd I go? Here we go. And so here I am. I'm in the space station now. My budget is not $84 million a day like NASA, right? My budget is zero, as you can tell by my graphics. But this is basically what we get from space. And the reason I'm starting with space today is because for those of you that don't know, all right, enough of that. Those of you that don't know, Katy Perry went into space today.
You know what, Dave? I am getting a little motion sick of that's spinning. We're not spinning, but that
I'm
is.
trying to stop it. There we go.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
This was news to me. I did not know about Katy Perry. Tell me more.
Katy Perry went into space today. They shot her up on the Blue Origin rocket, and Blue Origin's by Jeff Bezos. And these things, it's so badly done. Like people are like, Dave, you're going to make a video on this, and I was like, I don't think I can. It's you just have to watch the actual video. This is a Blue Origin video. I just want to show you. This was from a previous one. This is when I think when they sent I'm spacing on another YouTuber's name who went up. And the amount of edits, now I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The amount of edits are insane. Before it clears the tower, there's like 10, there's 4 edits before that. But watch right here on the nose. Yeah, I just showed it. I'm going to zoom in and show you again. There's a glitch. This isn't a real rocket. Okay. This isn't a real rocket. Let me go back and see the glitch. Watch right here on the nose of the rocket.
Oh, yeah, I saw it.
You see it? I'll zoom in, make it a little closer. Oops, where'd I go? We go back. Ready? There it is. So this isn't a real rocket, right? Now, who's filming this? Right, this thing is shooting up into space.
Yeah.
Right, and it's going, and there's people in here, and it's just got this one little nozzle on there. It's got no fins. It's got no wings. It's got no stabilization. It's crazy. So let's look at Katy Perry's launch. This is her launch today. I think it was today or yesterday. And there was all women on here. Just her whole. I don't even know what her crew is, but there was all these women under Jeff Bezos' wife. Where's the smoke trail? Who's filming this? All right, okay. We'll say a drone is doing a great job here, but this little fire is sending these people up into space. If there was people on here, and some people are like, well, they didn't go to space. They just went up, and came down. There's nobody on here. This little flame is pushing this thing up into space with people on it, right? This would be the scariest ride ever. You'd hear nothing but screaming and vomiting and other things coming, happening to people, right? It would be insane.
I don't like this whole shape that they made either.
Oh, it's worse than that. Like on half the time, the cameraman has a glitch and he makes the thing go up and down it's very strange, right? It's crazy. But you know what the zero-G plane is? When people go on the zero-G plane and it makes a parabolic arc and then you can float around, you can spend, I think it's like $5,000 or something, and you get to do this a couple times. So I'm just showing you, this is a zero-G plane and these people are going around. So from the entire trip, we have Katy Perry. We get 30 seconds of her floating around with her friends. And if you watch, there's 1 edit, 2 edits, 3 edits.
That's supposed to be people in space?
4 edits, yeah. And the dialogue is 5 edits, right? The 30-second, 6 edits, right? So what this is this is a little studio, 7 edits, in a zero-G plane, 8 edits. And they're just clipped it all together, and this is all we get, right? 9 edits in 30 seconds, and this is what they show us.
Of course, the butterfly with their Illuminati symbolism.
It gets worse than that. So this thing now is going to fall back to Earth. They all have to get into their chairs and get in. So they're allowed to move around and play and push off the walls. This thing, what's stopping it from tumbling? Right? It's actually repeating. It repeated, but they always have to tell us who their master is. Right? Here's her logo. I'll zoom in on it. It's Baphomet, upside down. You flip it over. They do it all the time. Everything they do, they have that all the time. So.
That is so bizarre. I thought, astronauts had to go through like training and zero gravity, and could they, like, what is the point? They're going up and coming. Where are they going?
They just went up and they come down, and it's crazy. Look at this. So the other guy was, I forget this guy's name. He's some famous YouTuber. He's the last guy that went up. This is what he's wearing to go up to space. Yeah. And this is what a jet pilot, a fighter pilot has to wear when he's just going, when he's going up for 1,300 miles per hour, 45,000 feet. They're going up 350,000 feet at 2,200 miles per hour, and they're just wearing jumpsuits, right? Nobody's really thinking these things through. when they come down. And they're like, yeah, but I saw the curve of the Earth. This is Kobe Cotton is his name. Kobe Cotton CC
Yeah,
33.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so look, the curve of the Earth, but here's the same camera when he's on the ground, the curve of the ground. It's the same curve. So they're just using a fisheye lens, and people just believe this stuff, right? People like, you can go see a rocket launch yourself, and yes, sometimes they do launch real rockets, but they're not real rockets. There's never anybody on them ever. This is what I call the Tupac rocket. It's a complete and total hologram. The amount of thrust coming out of here should obliterate everything here, but this smoke is just kind of lollygagging around. That's lifting up, 30 tons of weight, right? But when it went up, we had a little glitch. Watch right here. Watch the top of the rocket. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and come on. Where is it? There it goes.
Oh,
It disappears. We'll zoom in. Zoom in. Okay. This happens all the time with NASA. So I'm done with space. I mean, the space that we can spend the entire time here for hours going on and on about space, and we really won't get. We won't even.
but Dave, but let's talk about that,
Yeah.
because why is it important that we talk about space? That is one of their proofs to show this kind of round ball from space. I think that is one of the most important points that we need to settle on. Is there is no image. You've said this before. Most of my audience knows that all of those blue marble images are just that. They're cobbled together. So the fact that no one has ever been there to take a picture immediately, and NASA itself, and I've done several videos where I've got interviewed. I have not interviewed, but I'm playing interviews with the artist, with the graphic artists who say, "Oh yeah, we draw all that."
Yeah. I mean, the 2012, 2013 United States doubled in size, or came half the size a year later, right? Then we have these 9 images. So either 8 of them are fake or all 9 of them are fake. You can't have it both ways. It is so. This is one. I want to show you this one real quick, and then we'll get off the images. So this is the 2012 picture of Earth. And so you got the United States here, right? Florida, you're over here, right? United States got huge. Look how much of it, the Earth. This is supposed to be a photograph from NASA, right? So if we take a map of the world and we put that right here, we line it up with the map of the world, all of this other land, all of it has to be on the other side of that ball. Okay. All right. So game over. NASA's lying. Space is fake. Why are they lying? What difference does it make? I still have to go to work on Monday. I still have to support my family. This is how they disconnect us from creation. That's what they're trying to do. When you want to dilute something, what do? You pour it into something bigger, right? You pour it into something like infinite space. How do you dilute God? You pour it into infinite expanding space. The Earth is the universe is expanding at 1 billion miles an hour or something, or a day, or it's something crazy. It's some crazy number. What's it expanding into? And our sun is burning 640 billion tons of fuel every single day for billions of years.
And who measured that, by the way?
It's insane. It's insane. So you mentioned the Earth takes shape like clay under a seal. So this is what it means. Here's the seal, clay, pour some water in there. The water is contained by the upturned edge, and that's the Earth. The Bible is actually a super scientific book. Now, let me tell you something. But you know this about me, but just so your audience knows, before 10 years ago, 12 years ago, before I was forced to look at flat Earth, trying to debunk it, I didn't really have a connection to the creator because I could doubt it. I was like, you know what? I don't know. And this is why they hide the flat Earth. This is why they hide it, because when you see the flat Earth, you can no longer deny creation. It's like walking through the jungle. It's your first day on Earth. You know nothing. And all of a sudden, there's a 100-story skyscraper. Is there a creator? Is there a builder? You can't deny it. There is a builder. You can try to figure out who it is. So once you see that we live in an intelligently designed enclosed Earth, you can't deny creation. The air we're breathing is proof of God, because air is a gas, and gas law says it has to fill the available space. Well, if space is space, you can't claim gravity holds it on because gas is not affected by gravity, right? There's different densities of gases and stuff, but gas needs to be contained. Um, so one of the things I wanted to bring up was where is it? I saw this in a in so I saw this on a video and I forget the guy's name. I'd like to give him credit, but I don't remember his name, so maybe someone will remember. It says almost 99% of the mass of the human body is made up of 6 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. And the rest, less than 1%, is made up of other materials, right? So in Genesis 2:7, and God formed humans from the dust of the ground, right? So humans come in these different colors. What else comes in these different colors? Earth, right? So the Bible was right whenever it was written about what humans come from. And I find that interesting. And then also, to have healthy soil, there's bugs in the soil, good bugs, bad bugs, right? You have to have that healthy terrain. We need to have that healthy terrain with the good bugs, right? It's the similarities are crazy. And then God created man, and then how did he create women? Bible test question.
Yes, from man.
From man. Well, they took
from a dog. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So there's 206 bones in the body, I think, and only one of them is able to regenerate itself. Like if you broke off a half of a rib, it'll grow. The rib is the only bone that will grow back.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and evolution has no explanation for this. So how did the people, whoever wrote the Bible, people say, whatever, unless it was divinely inspired or written, how did they know? How did they know that? How did they know that back then? Right? We think we're at the head of civilization. We are literally, as you know, close to the end of the movie Idiocracy. Okay, I mean, we've got pro wrestlers on the conventions. The movie Idiocracy.
Oh, I saw it, and I think we've surpassed it.
Yeah, well, I say we're close to the end. I used to say we're in the middle. Now I say we're close to the end. I say Idiocracy used to be a comedy, but now it's a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I find these things very, very interesting. But when I was, researching other things, and I would be listening to a podcast, I got 3 pages of notes. This is great. These guys know everything. And all of a sudden they would go to the Bible and read a verse or do a prayer. And I just pushed me away. I was like, oh my God, these guys are religious, crazy people. And I would tune it out. And there's a lot of people like that in the world. Right. And so you can't drag them in. You have to show them. You have to set an example and show them. And so I never lead with the Bible, but the Bible backs up science, because science works for everybody. But if you're not a Bible believer and someone can show you 900 things in the Bible that are proofs of things, and they'll be like, doesn't matter, I don't believe in the Bible. Right? So I like saying the Bible isn't proof that the earth being flat earth is proof of the Bible being true. Way to look at it.
I like that.
So are you watching the chat? Is anybody?
I'm watching the chat, and we did want to make a comment, friends, that this is not this. I titled it a conversation with Dave Weiss, because I was on his channel about a year ago, I guess, and we had a nice chat. And then I thought, perfect time to bring Dave on here. And the goal is really to direct you to additional resources so you can do further reading. Dave, how long have you studied this? You said 10 years, right?
We're 2014. Yeah. So over.
Okay. And we're on here for 30, 40 minutes. So we're not going to get 10 years worth of content. We're in under an hour. But the bigger point that we want to make, and it is so fun to actually look at these very specific, compelling points that are really irrefutable. But the bigger picture, and why I love my Healthy Americans, is, by and large, they are willing to question and to dig deeper. Questioning is a sign of it's one indicator of being intelligent, that you are willing to open your mind and to consider different perspectives. You and I also talked off air, Dave, that it is very can be very frightening for people to give up something that they believed in for so long. I mean, think about back in the cooties days, friends. People don't want to give up the virus. They don't want to give up the whole notion of virology. They don't want to give up looking or considering how we get sick because it's their whole, maybe their whole life or most of their life has been based on that. And so here's, yeah, you got that, Dave. You go ahead and talk about that.
No, I'm just saying, people, it's easier to fool somebody than to convince them they've been fooled. Belief is the enemy of knowing, as Crow 777 Radio says. That, belief is easy. Hey, I believe you're in Florida. I do. Why would you lie? I've weighed all the resources. I stored it as truthful information, but I don't know it. I don't know it. You could be lying. You could still be in California and just afraid, embarrassed to admit it. So, belief is the lazy man's knowing, and you can believe whatever you want. It takes zero effort and it's instantaneous. But to know something, you have to take the time. People spent their whole lives being indoctrinated. You were taught that the earth was a globe before you had the ability to think. You were taught to it by people that you trusted, teachers, and the teachers weren't lying. You know how you become a teacher? No offense to teachers. You memorize and regurgitate the Rockefeller-funded textbooks. And if you don't question anything, and you get a degree, and now you can teach the next generation. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So again, we have independent thinkers like you, and we're talking about our mutual friend Amanda Vollmer. She, thinking outside of the box, thinking differently than the stuff that they've been cramming down our throats and into our bodies. Understanding how incredible this place is, how powerful beings we are, but they want us to believe that we're fragile little things that came from pond scum, and we're the offspring of genetically malfunctioning monkeys. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Right. And then if we came from monkeys, why are there still monkeys?
Yeah. So,
Dave, I do want to, this is a perfect time to make this point. So when you think about it, friends, all of the things that you've been lied about, evolution, definitely, we were taught that. It doesn't make sense. It has never has made sense to me. I always knew that my life was unique and had meaning and purpose. And I hope that everyone finds that truth, because it is a truth. We didn't develop from pond scum. That is so demeaning to consider that we were just, single cell amoebas. And I do have a video on this channel called, I think, The Greatest Lies You Were Told, or something like that. And I have my husband, Pastor David, talking about evolution and I should say the fallacy of evolution, the fraud of evolution. So think about that. We were lied about for evolution. We've been lied about the nature of being sick and transmission of diseases and all of that. You certainly know that you've been lied to over the last several years. Why would they, yes, they, my husband's going to get a shirt that just says they on it. Mm-hmm. I think that's hilarious. I'm going to get one that says, I was right. But why would they lie about all the other stuff and not this, which in my opinion is the most important information and knowledge of all, because it underpins our entire purpose and meaning of life. And there are so many other things that they hide, like going to space and stealing our money to do that. But why would you think they wouldn't lie to you about this, but they would lie to you about everything else? That one I can't get.
And the way to win a spiritual war is to convince people that a spiritual war doesn't even exist. And the way to, how can you fight for your freedom if you don't even know what your freedom is? Are you fighting to be in this prison? We are in a prison. And, and you mentioned they. A lot of people say, who are they? Well, we'll just start with the Council of Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, Club of Rome, Royal Institute of International Affairs, and the Trilateral Commission. Those are some of the they, but I think those are the puppets of the real leaders that live in lands that we were unaware of. So I want to go over a proof that people love and most people don't know, right? So just for those of you that are brand new, this is an app I have that teaches you and bypasses the censorship. And the sun is the hour hand. It goes around once every 24 hours. So the sun keeps track of the days, the hours and the days, right? It laps the moon once every 28
Oh,
days.
let's bring that graphic back up, Dave. We're still
Oh,
on
you know what?
the round table.
You know what? I thank you for pointing
There
it.
you
There you
go.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
I forgot to hit the transition button. So the sun
There you
goes
go.
around once every 24 hours, keeps track of the hours and the days. If I speed it up, the sun, you'll see it's right now, it's right about a full moon. It'll start catching up, the moon will start waning. So the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months. There used to be 13 months of 28 days. That's 364. One day set the new year. That's April 1st. By the way, Happy New Year's. A
Happy
couple
New
weeks ago.
Year.
Yep, Happy New Year. And so the weeks, the moon keeps track of the weeks and the month, then the months, and then the stars. They're circling around just like the sun and the moon do, but they're going slightly faster than the sun. The stars will lap the sun once every 365 days, right? So the sun will drift back through each zodiac for about a month. And that's how you know what zodiac the sun is in. So the stars keep track of the seasons and the years. But this is the important part: seasons. This outer yellow line is where the sun is on December 21st. That's the Tropic of Capricorn. The inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. So the sun will migrate in and out. So I'll jump it. Here we are: April, May, June. So in June, it's going to be all the way in there. And then July, August, September, October, November, December, it goes all the way back out there, right? So it's migrating in and out for the season, 6 months out and 6 months in. So here's the interesting part about that. Go to the seasons. So people say, if the sun has to go out here, it has to make a bigger circle. So that means it has to go faster, right? Because it takes a year, it takes 24 hours to go all the way around. But in here, it's going slower, right? That makes sense, right? It's going slower because the Tropic of Cancer is a smaller circle. There's so much evidence of that being real. But one of the things that is very interesting is, if I can find it, we used to have a thing on globes called the analemma, but they took it off, right? You can't find this unless it's on an old globe. So if you take a picture of the sun at the same time every day or for the year or every week, it'll create this double loop with a big loop.
I didn't know that.
That's called the analemma. I'll show you. I'll actually show you an animation of it. So and so the analemma. So right here we have the sun, and this guy did it. He did it every day for a year. And let me just jump forward a little bit. So he starts going 24 hours, takes another picture, and I'm going to speed it up, right? And so it makes a little loop. Now, by looking at this analemma, I can tell you where in the world he is, right? Because the smaller loop is going to be at the top. So when you're looking at streetlights, the ones near you are higher, and the ones down the road look lower, right? So the small loop is the north, the big loop is the south. If the Earth was a globe, both loops would be exactly the same size because there would be symmetry, right? And so it slows down in here, and it speeds up and goes down, out and around, and comes back, right? So if I took this, if somebody was taking the same pictures in the south, this would be at the top. This would be at the top, right? Here's the analemma taken in front of Stonehenge, right? We're in the north, right? Because the north is at the top. This is June 21st. And in December 21st, the sun's really low in the sky there because they're so far north. It's low not because of curvature, because we're far away. That's what the people don't understand. So think about this. Last thing on seasons, then we'll move on. If you and I are outside, you're out here, and it's freezing cold, and somebody comes over, your assistant comes over and puts a heat lamp above you. So you're warm now, and that's your sun, and the sun is directly above you. I'm colder, and the sun is much lower for me. It's like 45 degrees off. Yours is right up. And then she walks over towards me, keeping it at the exact same height. It's getting lower for you, and it's getting higher for me. I'm warm, you're cold. My summer, your winter. That's how seasons work. Seasons make zero sense on a globe. They actually don't work on a globe. So what I want people to do is I want people to question what they've been taught, right? And people say, well, other planets are round, so we're round. Other planets are round? Like, what? Have you seen another planet? Well, I have a telescope. I could see a light in the sky. You saw a light in the sky. Is that a rock or is it a light? Is it a rock or it's a light? Right? If you look up and see Jupiter in the sky, it's the brightest star in the sky, right? And and it's supposed to be a gassy planet reflecting sun from a sun 400 million miles away. That means the sun would be tiny. The sun would be like the size of a pencil eraser if you were on Jupiter. And you have to believe that it's reflecting off of that non-reflective surface and coming back to your eyes 300 million miles away and looking as bright as the sun. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, um,
okay, I got a question for you on this one,
sure.
David. I think this is a good time to talk about it.
Yep.
There was a person. Obviously, we've got some comments saying, "I can't believe everything I was taught was wrong." Well, we were taught that Pluto was a planet, and then we were taught it wasn't. So that's in our own lifetime by those very teachers. So there's an example of, even talking about space, they told us that that was and then wasn't. But what about? Can we talk about the Antarctica and the 24-hour sun? This is beyond my knowledge. I watched a video today to prepare for our video, and all I heard was a lot of bashing and a lot of I did not hear proofs of anything. I just heard a lot of
So on the flat Earth, this is, by the way, this is what a star looks like when you come in on it, and which is amazing. So let me show you. So there was all right, jumping back in the 1940s and 50s, they were exploring Antarctica. Admiral Byrd went out there and he said he saw more land bigger than the United States and no one had set foot upon. That was weird. He talked about it on a news show, and then 6 months later he died in his sleep, and his story changed from his journal that was released after that. So right when that happened, all of a sudden they said, we're going to the moon. Forget about Antarctica. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. And I don't know. I think most of your audience understands that the moon landing is not real. Would you agree with that? Okay.
Hope so.
and so why did they fake the moon? And it was to make people think they live on a ball, right? It's to make people think they live on a heliocentric ball, because they lose control when we get off their ball field, right? When we understand, when you unplug from the heliocentric satanic matrix, you end up, you disconnect from their control, and, they want to be above God, right? God, me, maybe I'll let the government be below me, right? Right. But they want to be above you and above God. And the truth is that all of that is nonsense. So the argument was, if you go to Antarctica, which would be out here, how could the sun ever circle around you? And there are actually some models in the flat Earth model that work. Now, this is a top-down view. This is where we see the sun at noon, right? So wherever this is, right below it, it's noon, and it actually works. But how would the sun circle around your head out here? They went to Antarctica without getting into it. There's videos that you can find on my channel. Very suspicious circumstances. The person that set it up, I say it was a very high level NASA run operation to bring some flat earthers down there to say, hey, if we go to Antarctica and you see the sun circle, if the sun does this, then that, and if the sun does that, then this, which was a false binary, right? Because I'm not a sky researcher. I'm a flat earth researcher. I've measured the flat earth. We can see too far. There's no curvature in things. There's so much evidence here on earth that we can physically measure. And you got to remember, the earth is a physical plane. The sky is spirit. It's non-physical. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
What you're saying is really important. So I want to make sure it doesn't get carried off in the stream of the chat here. Yeah, we're talking about the earth. We're talking about, the earth. And there is no curvature allowed for when railroad tracks are being laid for miles and miles. And mathematical equation to tell us how much that would have to curve in order to take into consideration the roundness of the earth never happens. There are
Right.
so many proofs of the flat earth. And I love what you said, where the sky is different. And I believe, as the Bible says, that we are in a closed system under the firmament. And
Mhm.
that's why we have rainbows that are arced. And that's why we see the sky is blue. Well, except for when they're spraying the chemtrails.
Well,
Um,
yeah. So the entire Earth system is a living soul system, not a solar system, a soul system for souls to have an experience. We are experiencing God in this creation through ourselves, right? We're all part of this creation. And everything in the sky, like the story, the heliocentric story is a planet the size of Mars hit Earth, knocked off a piece, and it turned into the moon, which is perfectly spherical and rotates at a perfect speed where one side always faces the Earth. Okay. But somehow this thing syncs up with women's menstrual cycles, right? There's 13 full moon cycles a year. Um, and there's 13 moon cycles a year, and women have 13, menstrual cycles a year. Kind of weird, right? The only thing that you can truthfully say about any of the luminaries, sun, moon, stars, planets, asteroids, is that they're lights. That's all we can say. We can make up stories that we want. But I was saying about the different models for the sun. There's several different models that are, you could say they're far fetched, but they're possibilities because again, it's a non-physical realm we're looking at. But none of them, you can't even make up a model of what the sun is that is crazier than the heliocentric globe model, right? Because how helium and hydrogen defy gravity here on Earth, right? They go up, right? I have a balloon of helium or hydrogen, it goes up. And gas always fills the available space, except in outer space. In a vacuum, helium and hydrogen collapse and make stars that turn into nuclear furnaces that have gravity that can hold on to Pluto, but ignore all the moons of all of the planets in between. Right? The mental gymnastics that you have to do to understand, to make the globe work is exhausting. Exhausting. So this is like a very simple idea of what the Earth is. This plane that we live on, this is, I'd say, is 1% of what the Earth system is. That's all I'm talking about. The other 99%, we know that we don't know. Globers think they know everything. So we're going to talk, but I just want to tell people on my website, flatearthdave.com, you scroll halfway down and you'll see a big picture of me. It says crash course. And there's a list of videos there that are awesome, well made movies, documentaries. They're phenomenal. Military guys, pilots, everything. And Google's hiding them from you. They don't want you to see them. And so my challenge is put down the cognitive dissonance, watch those videos, and then make up your mind. Don't believe anything I tell you today. Okay. And don't believe anything Peggy tells you. Right. Just go. Yeah. Thank you for pulling that up. Go to the crash course. There's my interviews right there. I do tons of interviews, but just click that crash course right there. And up will come a list of videos that Google will never feed you. Watch the first 4 and get ready to have to explain a lot of things to your friends and family. All right. Because you are going to reject the globe once you see this. And then what I can only say that people like, oh my God, flat Earth. You're in 2014 you mentioned flat Earth, people call you a moron. Now you mention flat Earth, they go, I heard something about that. Can you tell me how this works? And so people are waking up. On my app, I have a thing called the Friend Finder. I'm going to turn it on just to show you that flat Earth isn't going away. It is growing super fast, and I'd say my app represents maybe 1%. Less than 1% of the flat earthers. Here's the East Coast here. These are people that are using my app to find like-minded people around them. Right. I actually have a matchmaker on here, which is right here. And you can put in your age and your radius and say, okay, I want to find women of this age within this radius. And you can start chatting on the app. And there's already babies happening because of this, because people are finding like-minded people. But on the app, also a very important part is the the frequently asked questions, right? Hey, we can see too far. Where does the sun go? Seasons, gravity, and all of these videos are being hidden from you. ISS stuff. This is funny. This is such great stuff here. There's a video in there called "I Have to Go to the Bathroom" on the ISS. Okay, it's horrifying, right? And then one other thing, Peggy, you've looked into the old world, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a channel called My Lunch Break, right? You can find it
Yes,
on.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he is fantastic. I just say, just start watching My Lunch Break, and it's going to bring you. It's not about flat Earth. I don't think he even mentions flat Earth, other than he does mention my app in his thank yous in there. But it's going to. What happens is after you watch My Lunch Break, you go out in your own town and you go, "How did I miss that? How did I miss that my entire life? Like, how come I never thought about that?" And waking up to the truth is resonates, right? The truth will set you free.
Well, I want to make a couple comments there, Dave, because this app is so well put together. The information is there. And as we've seen with, cooties, as I call it, not everybody's ready for that. And I know that I have some viewers here that may be in the situation where their spouse or a close family member is not ready for this information. And it's kind of like I would counsel people related to the jabs. And you can't push them on it. It actually backfires. So you were able to find the information. They can find the information. Dave has found it. He's put it together for you. And having, conversations where you're asking questions, maybe having a time limit. I have it with my husband right now. I'll say, okay, sweetheart, 2 minutes on tariffs. Give me 2 minutes. We're going to talk about tariffs, because it's really, can be very distressing, some of these topics. So if you put a time limit on it and you're not pushing the person, but you're willing to ask questions, or if they have questions, and if they don't want to talk about it, I wouldn't force it. They're not ready for it. So the information is there. Many people want to find it on their own. Years ago, we used to collect little collectible things and we sold them at, these collectible shows. People never wanted to look at what I set out on the table, all nice in categories and everything. They wanted to dig through the boxes. They wanted to dig through the boxes and find it on their own. So direct them toward Dave's app, toward his website. He's done the digging. He has done the investigation. He's been doing it for well over 10 years. And I think this would be a starting point where, like, the emotional aspect is taken out of it, and they're in a place where they can learn if they want to. If you guys have any tips on how to have these conversations with your loved ones, let me know. What do you think about that, Dave?
My suggestion is, just ask questions. Don't tell them. Say, just say, hey, this guy, Flat Earth Dave, he's offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. Can you help me? And then you go on the app, and you can get to the full length video section. And the first video there, which is also on my website, you can find it, is Flat Earth 21 questions. It goes over the top 21 questions, like boom, like 2, 3, 4 minutes each, right? And so if they sit down, like, let's debunk this. Let's get a Bitcoin. Let's get 3 Bitcoins, right? You're not going to get any Bitcoins because the Earth is flat. All right, sorry, but it's a good way to get someone's attention if that gets their attention, right? The other thing on the app, there's a book section, and Peggy, I sent you a book that just came out.
Got it. Yeah, I just got it. Thank you.
Called it's a short book, easy reading, and it just talks about how the Bible it proves that the Earth is flat, and it's really great. And maybe Glober Dave will read it.
Round Earth Dave.
Round Earth Dave.
Yeah,
Round Earth Dave.
Flat Earth Dave and
Round Earth Dave will read it. And so here's the thing. Again, don't believe anything. I don't believe anything. Belief is the enemy of knowing. You gotta verify everything. On the app also, if you go to the more resources page, by the way, if you hold any button down, it'll tell you what it does. There's a section called Flat Earth Facts, Experiments. We did all the work for you. Watch the experiments. We documented them for you, right? Because when I first heard about Flat Earth, I was like, all right, well, I've seen boats go over the horizon. I'm going to just go to the beach and watch a boat go over the horizon. And right then, the Nike kind of just come out with their P900 super zoom camera. I bought it, bought a tripod, went down. It was actually a perfect day. And I zoomed in on a buoy that was over 10 miles away. Well, that doesn't seem like far. Earth is so big. At 10 miles away, there's 66 feet of curvature. That's a 6-story building. Okay. But not only could I see the buoy, I could see the water beyond the buoy, right? I could see the water beyond the buoy because you have to understand how our eyes work. You got a boat here, you got mountains here. We're zoomed in. Watch this. When I zoom out, not only are the boats going to disappear, the mountain's going to disappear. Now, is it over the curve or is it just out of your limit of view? You can't see it because you can't see it, not because it's over a curve. People are like, well, the bottoms of the boat are missing. Once you understand how a little wave in the future, can my finger hide my face? Can my finger hide my face?
Just the chin.
Well, what if it was closer to you?
Oh.
Okay. And that's how we see with some of those little waves, and then the atmosphere on the water becomes opaque over distance, and the bottoms will disappear first. Right? The bottoms will disappear first. These are dolphins jumping beyond the horizon. Okay. Well, they're jumping up from behind the Earth curve going, look at me, look at me. Or is it just an optical illusion? This is just reflecting the sky because you can't resolve it. On the app, there's a section called Boats Over the Horizon. Just watch those videos. We don't have time. Like, Peggy, I was going to thank you at the beginning for agreeing to do a 5-hour podcast with me tonight, right? Just so we can scratch the surface, but I didn't want to scare.
Right. Dave, what's the name of the book again? People are asking, the one you mentioned that you sent me.
The name of the book is called Flat Earth: Reforming Biblical Cosmology, and the author's name is Robert Smith. You can find it on Amazon. It just links you to Amazon here. And by the way, the app is $3, one-time charge. You get 95% of the app forever. Okay. But if you want to set up a profile and do the dating thing or set up meetups or message people, there's a subscription and it's ready. It's $11 a year. Okay. $11 a year. Couldn't make it any cheaper because the using those features cost me more than $3 a year per user. Okay. So and people are like, oh, you're a grifter. Peggy, you're a grifter because you're selling gold. Okay. No, we need to play in their ball field with their fiat system. So we need to, I need to pay for this app. This app costs a lot of money to run. Right. And so if you're getting a paycheck from your job, trolls, you're a grifter. Right.
Luckily my audience understands that value exchange. Because that's kind of strange.
And I tell people, if you have an iPhone, you can afford the app. But if you have an Android phone and you're in a situation where you can't afford the app, email me. Tell me your story. I'll give it to you for free. I just want you to have the information. And at your fingertips, you can bring up stuff. Just for example, if somebody says, I hit the images. Somebody says, what about Southern flights? I'll just type in Southern or start typing in Southern. And here comes my favorite images, Southern flights. From New Zealand to Argentina, this would be the fastest trip. But instead, they go all the way up to San Francisco, all the way over to Houston, and then all the way back down, which makes no sense. But on a flat Earth, New Zealand, San Francisco, Houston, Argentina. It happens to be a straight line.
Keep that there for a minute, Dave. I was on a flight from LA to Paris many years ago.
LA to Paris over here somewhere, right?
And there was a medical emergency, and guess where we stopped? We stopped in Canada, which makes sense on the flat Earth map.
It makes sense on a flat Earth map, right? There's so many emergency landings.
Right, emergency landings. But while you're doing that, Dave, I want to encourage everybody to go to flatearthdave.com, get this information. It would be so fun to just have it on your phone. And when you're having these conversations, my audience loves to learn. That's the thing. They are curious. They are investigators. They want to increase their knowledge. And this isn't like a fist fight, like who's right and who's wrong. This is, can I gather more information and knowledge about this? I would rather learn and figure out that I was duped somewhere along the way than to just remain with the wool pulled over my eyes.
Peggy, this you'll
Yeah,
love this one. Hong Kong, it was going all the way over to the UK, 12-hour flight, 4 hours into the flight, right about here, packed plane, family, husband, wife, two or three small kids. Mother dies suddenly. Okay. They have no place to put her other than just the leave her in her seat. And the flight flew for 8 more hours and didn't land. So these little kids are sitting next to their deceased mother for 8 more hours. Why didn't they? If somebody has a stomach ache, they'll land the
that's
friggin'
right.
plane.
That's what happened on the
Right?
flight I was on.
Yeah. And
Get a
uh,
stomach
and
ache.
and why is that? Because here's the flight route. They were over Russia. So two things would happen if they land in Russia. Russia would probably help them, and that could spark world peace. Can't have that. But the other thing is, we'd say, "Why were you over Russia?" And then we'd show it on a flat Earth map, and we'd have more rock solid proof. And so they didn't do it. They couldn't land because they were over Russia. Not that they couldn't land in Russia; they couldn't let us know that they were over Russia.
Yeah, that is really
Yeah.
amazing. And I do want to just spend a moment, Dave, talking about this, you know, the grifter shill, all that the
Sure.
kind of stuff that we get hit with. And you told me something really interesting before we came on air that, and I know this happened to me back in the day when I was telling people, look, there's no law that says you have to cover your face. This was forget the jabs. This was way in the early days. And I'm like, you have a right to go to the grocery store and breathe oxygen. I was making videos about telling people, explaining their rights. I was unleashed with I can only call it an army of bots or trolls, AI, and they're so good that I mean, have you ever gotten an email on your phone and you go to reply and it gives you the reply in advance, like on Gmail, it will give you a suggested reply. These bots,
Yeah.
it's not even somebody possibly sitting there typing it. These are pre-made responses of
It's the
trolling, I guess is the word.
what you'll notice is there's dedicated trolls assigned to me, right? I'm the number one target right now because I'm reaching the most number of people, right? I'm reaching so many people and they're trying to take me down and take the app down. That's what the entire Antarctica trip was about, to take it down. Ignoring all of that, the bots, the trolls, whatever, real, some are real, some many are bots, are going to show up on your channel and they're going to comment. They're going to comment on other people's comments. But here's what they will not do: they will not offer a globe proof. They will call me names. They will say your app leaks data. Guess what? In October, they spent a lot of money. It took 4 months and they hacked into our server and they got all the information. But let me tell you what they got. When you sign up for the app, it doesn't KYC you. It just put in whatever information you want. And the information that you're putting in is the information that you are choosing to share with all of the other users. So they could have just paid the $3 and gotten the information themselves, but they spent all this money hacking the app. And they got their app password. That's all been fixed. So when you hear Dave's wife app is leaking, it's leaking like a sinking ship, like Flat Earth, it's just nonsense. But when the trolls hit your channel, click on their channel. Say open a new window and you'll see zero content. I call them the globe proof channels because they have all the globe proofs there. There's nothing there. There's no proof. So if they're real people that are trolling, they should be ashamed of themselves. They should build their channel a little bit, put some globe proofs on there, put something on there, right? But they're just empty channels making empty claims, trying to steer you away from understanding your position in this creation, which is the center. Nope.
Yeah,
Good.
I want to make another comment about the data and all of that. You know, it may or may not even have happened. I mean, who knows? Because we hear a lot of these stories in the news about banks having your data stolen and all of that. In my view, that's because they want to move us toward the digital age and digital fingerprints, so you don't even have passwords or anything. Isn't it ridiculous? Like, I want to pay my water bill online and they want to send me a confirmation code on my phone to access to pay my water bill because all these people are trying to hack into my water account and pay my water bill. They're doing that because it's moving us closer toward the digital, tracking and digital passports and, one password. Nobody's going to break into my water bill. And who knows, we don't even know, Dave, exactly what happened there, other than you say to have a targeted hit and to feed in, I believe, into this bigger agenda of, everything is so sensitive. You're going to have, your voice password, and then you're going to have your fingerprint and retina scans and all of that. So it's very troubling when I hear all of those stories, including what happened to you.
Right. But again,
Yeah.
I take it seriously. Spent a lot of money getting it fixed, but now I'm in, with Bank of America, Facebook, Wells Fargo, Yahoo. They've all been hacked. They've lost real personal information, verified information.
Right.
You're only losing what you were sharing with everybody else. Yes, they got the app password, but hopefully people are smart enough to use a unique password. Some people aren't. But I actually changed it so now whenever you add a password, it says use a unique password just to make sure people know that you should never share passwords.
Yeah.
So that it's a nothing burger, as I say.
Well, here's a comment from Florida Mark. He says, even when I was ignorant, I was still open to listening to reason. And Mark, I really want to applaud you on that, because that's how we learn and grow, is being open-minded, but also looking for evidence, looking for data, looking for facts. And I go back to the most rudimentary, God gave us the senses to experience our world. And when I look outside the window, I'm not spinning. And I don't feel that I'm spinning under my feet. And when I'm in a plane, I look out the window and it's flat. When I was at the beach recently, it was a flat horizon. And the water seeks of its own level and it's flat. So all of those things, even if I don't have the app and I don't understand the sun and the moon and the seasons, that's fine. I mean, I don't understand how memories work, but I know I have memories, so I know from my own experience, my personal interaction with the world. And to me, that is my most compelling. And I would say for my followers that are people of faith, just pray for God to show you sincerely and say, okay, Lord, direct me to the resources, to the people, let me develop my discernment to understand right from wrong, and not just in the shape of the earth or the location of the earth, but on all things. And I promise you, God is going to direct you in that manner, and you will find things that will bring you peace instead of consternation. What would you like to say about that, Dave?
The number one thing I get from people is, with all the stuff going on in the world, child trafficking and the jibby jab and all of this, why should I be focusing on this? Because if you don't know where you are, if you don't have your feet planted in the center of creation where you are now confused. You're disconnected. We are connected in incredible ways, right? So this entire system, the entire sky is part of this living system. We are connected to it, right? And this is how I see it. We're connected to everything. We have incredible powers that they've literally hidden from us. And so when you understand, your thoughts create reality. But if your thoughts are contained in a ball, you can't think outside of the ball. Right. So you have incredible powers, but you put the globe on and now you're disconnected. You're living in a globe is limitation, shortages, fear, overpopulation, everything that comes with it. All of those are lies. All of them are lies. The world population is a lie. Nuclear bombs are a lie. Asteroids are a lie. Right. Somebody said on a podcast yesterday, he said, well, I'm not afraid. I believe we live on a globe. I'm not afraid. They said, what if all the news reported said, NASA's reporting that there's a 99% chance an asteroid's going to hit Earth next week and destroy Earth? I go, would you be scared? He's like, well, yeah. Would you believe it? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, we wouldn't. We would just continue having a good old time because we know that it's nonsense. So again, the only way they have power over us is fear. False evidence appearing real, FEAR. That's it. And people go, I'm only one person. I can't do anything. That's what they want you to believe. Because if you believe it, it's true for you. But one person awake and aware, unplugged, and disconnecting from giving your God-given free will away is more powerful than a million people sleeping.
Well, I'm really excited about these kinds of conversations, Dave. As I say, I never really bought into the whole, we're spinning around. It never made sense to me. But, before the internet, I didn't have anybody to talk to about this. I didn't have access to resources. It wasn't something that came up in everyday conversation. But I would say probably in the last, well, maybe 10 years or so, certainly around the cooties hogwash, I think people started to question a lot of what was going on. So I think it's thrilling that more and more people are actually returning to what was always known. We talked about that in a previous interview, that the ancient civilizations always knew that the earth was flat. They knew about the seasons. Go ahead.
They were teaching flat earth into the mid 1900s here. That's in right. Public schools. But they want us to believe 2,000 years ago, Eratosthenes figured it out with a stupid experiment that doesn't prove that the earth is a globe. It works perfectly on a flat earth, but people don't think things through. They've done something to people where they only have a surface level thought. Okay. Peggy, I live in Connecticut. Okay. You've just stored that as truthful information. You've stored it as no need to verify. He's got a little bit of a New York accent. And I think I've heard him say it before. And so all that happened in an instant of a second, stored, right? I also used to be the president of the United States. So we're going to continue our conversation. And later I say, do you know that I used to be the president of the United States? And you know that I said it. You stored it as false information. And you also stored it as no need to check up on that because it's definitely false. Okay. Right. That's how our minds work. But people are just have surface level thoughts, and then they don't think them through any deeper. So, yeah, it's something they've done to us. Learn about your pineal gland. It's calcified with, I don't want to say the F word.
I think we can. Yeah, fluoride. Yeah. I'm going to be talking about that in Good News in Florida. But I want to, as we wrap up, Dave, I do want to make a comment that sure. I don't spend a lot of time listening to other people's videos. I simply don't have the time. I'm doing primary research and writing and all of that. But I did listen to one of the, people poking fun at the flat earth ideas or whatever. My thing is, why would they care so much that people like us acknowledge that the earth is flat? Why are they pushing so hard against that? Like, why would somebody push so hard for you to prefer chocolate over vanilla? It's like, why are you even bothering me? I know that I'm not spinning. I know that all these other things we talked about. So why the pushback so hard? And I want to know your answer to that. My simple answer is that it keeps the space myth going, so they can have billions and billions of dollars go into this fake, phony, fraudulent NASA. But it also keeps the narrative going that you're insignificant, your life doesn't matter. So it's easier to take life, whether through abortion or, death row. And people may have different opinions about that. But the fact is, when you disregard the value of life, you are more easily able to dismiss it like, oh, kill everybody in Gaza. And, what all of these other things that harm people, because you don't believe that life has value, that we're just a meaningless speck, spinning in the universe. So they strive so hard to belittle and demean individuals who have taken time like you have, and people like me who just I know that already, that I'm not spinning. They strive so hard to demean and belittle to protect their narrative. That right there makes me very skeptical and curious.
I thought this was a little.
We'll finish up on this.
Yeah. I thought this was a little funny. You had mentioned earlier. I think I said at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
That the trolls are coming in hard, on this topic on you, because you're already under attack for having your gem theory. Because I don't like to say the R word.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So going there. These are rockets, right? These are rockets. What do they look like? They look a little bit like that, right? And I searched This image, I didn't make this image. These are aircraft, and like,
Wow.
what is going on here? So, and some of the rockets look exactly, look at this thing, right? At the predictive programming that's going on in this world, people don't understand how incredibly strong it is. And I think they use our minds to create their reality. For example, 1976, you got Cookie Monster doing this thing to the buildings. The Supertramp album, if you look at it in reverse, it has the two numbers there, between after 8 and after 10.
Yes.
Um, and they're looking out an airplane window, and it's breakfast in America, right? At breakfast time in 1993, they show the buildings doing the thing over here. In 1991, 1997, The Simpsons, New York, $9, and then you have 9, and you have
Yep.
the 11 right there. And then if you know about the money and that event, what they did with the images on the money, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then 1994, you got this. So what does that do? That we live in a world. This is just proof. We live in a world where our mind creates reality, right? Our minds create the reality. And I think that the what do you call the powers that want to be? You have another word for them.
Yeah, the powers that shouldn't be.
The
Oh, the
powers
New
that
World
shouldn't be.
Disorder.
I think they don't have the ability. I don't think they have the emotion. I don't think they have the ability to manifest things, and they use us to do it for them.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. You know what, Dave? I'm going to take your graphic a step further because we've got the World Trade Center, right? World Trade. What's being obliterated right now? And I know I have some people that are hoping Trump is going to do the right thing. What's happening right now? World trade is being obliterated through these tariffs, even if they're not imposed. The uncertainty and unpredictability in our markets is going to have a very negative effect, as it did in 2018 when Trump imposed his first tariffs. I know we were going to talk about tariffs, but this world trade, you see how are you following my
Yes, yeah.
That's very interesting. Yes.
Yeah, it's there's so much to this world. Here's another beautiful thing about waking up to this truth is you'll never ever be bored again. And you'll never have a day where your mind isn't blown with something else amazing. Eddie Bravo, I think it was Eddie Bravo or Sam Tripoli said when they discovered flat Earth, he's kind of bummed out because, like, you know what? I'm never going to have my mind blown like that much again. And I thought the same thing too. Not true. Literally, before 8 a.m. every day, I have my mind blown with something else almost every single day. And it's fantastic. I mean, I go outside and I look around and I'm like, this world is amazing. Where there's so much to be appreciative. I can't talk right now. Appreciative of. And people are like, well, the world's going to hell. Maybe your world, not my world, right? The stuff is going down. The world is splitting. These people are going to go into their 15-minute cities and get their things and live in the line or wherever they go. And we're going to go do our thing over here. How that's all going to work out, and the thing is, we have the ability to make the world what we want. We do. We give the government has no power other than what we give them. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think there is definitely that aspect to it.
Okay.
There are certain things that we've experienced over these last few years. You have to stand up for yourself, make choices that make sense for you. And there are certain things that we do live under. For example, I stop at the red lights and so forth. But I do understand your bigger picture that people are looking for a savior in the government to save them. They're looking for the government to solve all their problems. And people will have even said to me, well, Peggy, if we can't trust Bobby Kennedy and we can't trust Trump, who can we trust? And I'm like, well, aside from the good Lord above, you can trust yourself. And so your point is well taken.
Yeah. My point is, when you see something negative, okay, great. I'm glad that I see that and know that you want to go that way. Yes. Right? The negative thing tells you which way to go. Without the negative thing, you don't know which way to go. So every time you notice something negative, it's like when you're trying to meditate, your mind's going wild and you notice it. Hey, you noticed it. Now come back. Go back to your breath. Okay.
You know, I did a video last week, Dave, which actually just on Friday, which was how to stop the spin cycle. And you said, "Oh, is this our show? Are we talking about the spinning?" But that's so true, because we also have that spin cycle in our mind where we're spinning and spinning. And a lot of people construed my phrase of what in the non-spinning world, meaning, you know, let's stop the spin cycle. And so it is true. We don't want to give our power away to the negativity, to the fear mongers, to give power to others over ourselves. That's why I think waking up to these things is empowering for us. And people who went along with some of these impositions or interventions that were sort of coerced and inflicted upon them, you have to remember that that was a choice as well. And when you say, you know what, I made a choice to do that. Yes, I felt coerced. Yes, I felt intimidated. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. Acknowledging that it is a choice actually makes you more powerful. So you're not the victim, you're the victor. And I know we've got, you know, a common outlook on that. We are going to wrap up. We've given a nice full hour and then some to everybody. So the question becomes, where can I get the information? FlatEarthDave.com. He's got videos that you're not going to find on YouTube, because you can do a search like for Flat Earth Dave. It's not really going to come up on YouTube. It's
actually, Peggy, I recently broke the algorithm.
I've been posting, tell me how you did it.
I've been posting so many shorts and everything. I've been going wild posting. So now if you search Flat Earth Dave, it actually gives you some really good results, mixed in with some nonsense results. But if you want just good stuff, go to my website and follow me on X. Follow me on all of those channels.
Look what we got here.
Get the puppy. Nice.
Okay, I think it's time for me to take Sandy out to go potty.
All right.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave. It is always a pleasure. I do appreciate the conversation. Thank you, everybody, for being on board and all of your questions and comments. And I would say check out Dave's app. I know that I will be doing the same, and I'm going to read that book that you sent me. I'm grateful for that. And big shout out to the moderators. Actually, we had a pretty tame audience today, and I appreciate the thoughtfulness and the questions. So any last thing, Dave, as we're signing off here?
If anybody, you know, if you go to my website and you have a question, you need me to direct you, shoot me an email. I try to answer all the emails. I do get tons of emails. So be concise, you know, and every day on the app, there's a featured video. I tell people, just every day when you have your coffee or tea or whatever, just click the thumbnail and watch that video, and do that for 2 weeks, and you're finished. It's over if you do that. So that's it. And if somebody knows another podcast that wants to have an intelligent conversation, even if they think the Earth is a globe, but they're willing to have a conversation, you know, connect me. I could use your help. If you want to do something, help me get on other podcasts to reach new people.
Okay,
everyone, if you enjoyed this interview, please help support my work and help wake up others by referring or gifting the app to at least one person today. By doing that, you're going to help wake people up and help me to continue doing other interviews like this. With the censorship out there that's going on, it's very difficult to find relevant information, and the app, as you know, brings people to the truthful information of our world. So help support my work, help support your efforts in waking up friends, family, and strangers. Gift them the app or just recommend the app. And let's make 2025 the year Flat Earth breaks free. Check the links below for information on how to gift the app or just refer the app to others, and use your referral code to earn Dome cryptocurrency and a free subscription. Thanks.